All right, this is a video to explain the Paramedic method, which was a system for revising prose to make it more concise and clear, developed by Richard Lanham about 35 years ago. The Paramedic method consists of a series of steps, these 7 steps. And I know they look pretty complicated on this slide, but they actually are more simple to apply than they seem. So let's go through a sample sentence and you'll see how easy this actually is to apply. Here's a sample sentence. It has long been my belief that the introduction of the internet into American homes has been the downfall of the family. I know that that actually seems like a pretty good sentence, but if you listen to it, you can actually hear that there's a lot of wordiness, that the sentence tends to drag on. So listen to the way that my voice rises and falls with this sentence. It has long been my belief that the introduction of the internet into American homes has been the downfall of the family. Do you notice how my voice, every time there's a preposition, my voice goes up and down. So it has long been my belief that the introduction of the internet into American homes has been the downfall of the family. When you have a paper that has sentence after sentence like this, the paper becomes rather monotonous and difficult to read. So let's go through and apply those strategies of the Paramedic method. The first step is to circle the prepositions. So in this sentence we have 3: of the internet, into American homes, and of the family. And the reason we do that is because once we know where the prepositions are, we know where we can take out some phrases. We can reverse some of those phrases and make them more active. The next step is to identify those to be verbs. And the reason for that is because, interestingly, the to be verbs tend to be the most lifeless and uninteresting verbs that we can use. And so we want to find those verbs and then replace them with verbs that are more active and interesting. So here we have it has long been. That's a split infinitive, but we have has been, and then another has been here later in the sentence. So we actually have 2 to be verbs in this particular sentence. The next thing to do is ask a question. Where's the real action in this sentence? In other words, who is doing what to whom? Where's the subject and where's the verb? And in this sentence, when you look really closely at it, you discover that it's actually hard to know. And the reason for that is that this sentence is actually in the passive voice. The introduction of the internet has been the downfall. We don't know who introduced the internet. At some point that might have been part of the sentence, but then that was deleted, and so we don't even know who is doing what to whom in this sentence. Because of that, we're forced with this sentence to actually figure out a new subject, a new who is doing what to whom. And so what we have to decide is that the internet is being introduced into American homes and the family is falling. There are actually 2 things happening in this sentence. We know the internet is coming into homes. We know that the family is falling. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. We're figuring out what's happening. What's the next step? We want to change the action. We want to get rid of those to be verbs. So now that we know who is doing what to whom, how do we change the action? So if we know the internet is coming into American homes, what is a better verb than the to be verb? Is the internet emerging? Was it introduced? That's a past tense passive verb. We don't want that. Was it born? How about that family? What's happening to it? Is it falling? The family is falling. The family's downfall. Let's figure out what's happening there. We can do that once we start rearranging the sentence. So let's rearrange the sentence. Move the doer. In this case, we have 2 subjects. into the right spot. That requires us to get rid of those prepositional phrases now. So we start to have a sentence that looks like this. It has long been my belief that the internet's birth, I just chose one of those words, caused, we got rid of the to be verb, the American family's downfall. So in this case, we took the downfall of the family, got rid of that preposition of, and have the family's downfall. We took internet and moved it into the subject position because we really didn't know who did the introducing, so we had to rearrange the sentence completely. And introduced the verb caused. The internet's birth caused the American family's downfall. Now we're starting to add some life to this sentence. Now we want to eliminate slow windups. In this case, the beginning of the sentence, it has long been my belief that, is a slow windup. If this is your paper, your reader understands that this is your belief. You're writing the paper, so you don't need to say, it has long been my belief that. You can just say, the internet's birth caused the American family's downfall. Finally, you want to delete redundancies, and in this case, we've done that by taking out the into American homes. By saying the American family's downfall, there's already an implication that we're in the American home. There's a redundancy if we say into the birth into the American home caused the American family's downfall. To me, that seems like a redundancy. Now, if you're writing your paper and you really need to emphasize that the internet has entered the home and that's what has broken up the family, then you may need to leave that part of the sentence in there. That's a decision that you can make. But in this case, I felt like it was a redundancy, so I took it out. So that's what we're left with. It has long been my belief that the introduction of the internet into American homes has been the downfall of the family turns into the internet's birth caused the American family's downfall. The original was 22 words. The revision is 8 words. Richard Lanham, who developed the Paramedic method, called that a lard factor of 64%. In other words, that wordiness, that excess of words was 64%, 64% more words than were necessary in the original. And his philosophy was that if you were applying the Paramedic method correctly, you can eliminate at least 50% of any sentence. And so that was his advice to all students is if you haven't cut 50% of your sentence, bash on. So he would be pleased with the application of the method in this case.